All right, Kirby. Hey, I've got some big news for you.
Okay,
I've got some huge news.
bring it.
In fact, it's so big, I'm not sure I could even share it. Okay, fine, I will.
That's right. Promo UPFront, money in the pick, the bullets, a full podcast.
Sailing takes me away. Not going to sing the rest of the song because I don't have the range of Christopher Cross. I am Bill Petrie, and I'm going to welcome you to episode number 146 of the Promo UPFront Podcast. I am one of your hosts. With me, as always, let's call him the Earl of Earth Day today. One and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the golf are you?
Doing well, doing well. Just got back from a very quick trip with my buddies, as you know, and got back last night and then back at it this morning. So I'm doing really well. Going to try to jam 2 weeks of work into a couple days, which is always, it is what it is, right? It's just what you got to do. So I'm doing well, buddy. How are you in this moment?
Doing great. We are this close to getting on that boat for the first promo cruise, and a lot of details.
I bet.
Making sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. Everybody's going to get down there, and we're going to have a great time. And when you do things, you work this hard, you really understand what your why is. Why people would want to partner with you and things like that. And honestly, Kirby, it got me to thinking. And there's a lot of contract decorators out there, and it begs the question why anyone would choose to use one over the other, right? Well, Bruce Jolesch at PXP Solutions would like to share a few of his whys with you, and maybe your audience too.
Cool.
So, Kirby, would you indulge me in these whys?
I would love to hear them. Can't wait.
Excellent. Innovative PXP Solutions, innovative graphic design that will showcase your client's brand. I love that. Special printing techniques that creatively communicates your client's message. Now, that's a big thing for Bruce at PXP, that they use creative decorating to clearly communicate a brand message. And I really love how that's their philosophy. Turnkey service from concept to fulfillment, creating efficiencies and cost savings, and unparalleled customer service that forge long-lasting relationship. How's that for a few reasons why someone would want to work at work with PXP, Kirby?
Well, I think anytime that your whys line up, that's when the real magic happens with a business partner. And so I think one of the things I like is that they're sharing them, right? Because I think so many times it's just like, well, we can do it for a nickel cheaper. And I think that's fine until it's not fine. And I think that one of the ways that, price becomes, it's not that it's never not important, but it's not the leading thing, is when your values line up and you know that you're rowing in the same direction with your partner. That's when really good things happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%, Kirby. Here's what one client actually had to say, and you know how much I love sharing client testimonials. Everything looks fantastic. If every partner we have executed projects like you do, my job would be easier. How's that for a testimony? I mean, that you can't get better than that. So why don't you give our pal and president of PXP Solutions, Bruce Jolesch, a call at 214-380-1883 so you can experience his why for yourself. Or if you prefer, you can email him at bruce@pxpsolutions.com, as he would love the privilege of working with you and your clients you serve.
Love it.
All right, Kirby.
Cool,
here we are, episode number 146, our last episode in dry dock, as we will be podcasting from a cruise ship next week. We'll get to that next week, but for now, we're on land. And speaking of land, Earth Day, right here. It's here today. This week is kind of Earth Week. And a couple things I wanted to share, and then I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Now, Vantage has donated $30,000 to Clean Ocean Action, and I love just short little headlines like that. It tells me exactly what they're doing, how much, and who they donated to. I love that.
Okay.
Next Level Apparel is transitioning to recycled polyester for all of their incoming fabrics, which I think is amazing. So I want to ask you, this is really huge stuff. With your clients as a distributor, do you experience a spike in green or eco-friendly, recyclable, renewable merchandise leading up to Earth Day? or not? And that's the first question. And then the second customers is, how important is Earth Day in the grand scheme of things with you and your clients?
Okay, so no, I do not. We like I think that most of the time, with our clientele, we are driving the conversation on sustainability. I think that most clients in our region, and again, I'm painting with a broad brush, but they're interested in it if I bring it up, and we can find a solution that fits their budget and their need. But almost always, I am the person, or somebody on our team is the person driving that. Not always, but it's I would say the high majority. But then how important is it to me and my clients? I think that as a conversation around business, it's not that important. But hear me out. I think it's really important because I think that the integration in the beginning of this sort of thing, this sort of conversation, this sort of Earth Day, however many years ago that this started, is what leads us to more conversation. This is one of those things that doesn't happen overnight. And I think it builds upon itself each and every year. And the more that we see our customers and distributors like me and suppliers, like pushing this and doing it in a way that kind of show other people how to do it, I think that's when you start to see more adoption from a larger percentage of the population of businesses. I've said this to folks like Denise Taschereau. Denise lives and breathes this, and I admire it so much. And so many times it's like, okay, I want to do better. Show me the way. And I think that one of the things that holidays like this do is that somebody does something. I'm like, ooh, I could replicate that and do this. And I think that to me, that's where something like Earth Day really has an impact long term.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And unfortunately, a lot of what we do is customer driven. And sometimes that is their main thing is creativity. Sometimes it is packaging, and sometimes it is price. And that's something we can't control we don't control our clients' budgets. It'd be cool if we did.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But we don't. So I think, as we try to bring things up and showcase, here's an opportunity for you to get a great piece of merchandise. And part of being eco-friendly and green is a piece of merchandise that isn't going to be thrown away. That's going to be kept and used.
Yeah.
And I think we omit that too much. I think we focus so much on the materials, and that's a huge, important part of it.
Important, yeah.
We focus on the packaging, whether it's going to be either has been recycled or can be recycled. Again, important and huge. But I think really eco-friendly and being mindful of that starts with intentionally cultivated promotional merchandise that is used, kept, and remembered.
Yeah. It's the point of the exercise, right? If it's a one-off use, then it's really not that different than a radio ad.
Correct. Correct. But I do think it is our place, like you were saying. You bring it up, you showcase options. It's an opportunity. But at I don't think any of us would walk away from a sale, because someone wanted a product that wasn't 100% bamboo or wasn't using upcycled materials. So
the only pushback I'd give is I think there are some who would. And I want to get I was actually having a conversation with Mandy Rudd about this, and she was asked about selling water bottles in plastic water, with water in it. I always try to make that differentiation. And she said, nope, that's not something we do. We could do it, but we don't do it. Here's some other eco-friendly options. And so she I don't know that I would have thought of that. I was like,
agree.
Yeah.
I agree that we all have our lines in the sand, right? I can tell you there's clients I would not work with for whatever reason. And I know, Mandy, has a big thing against water bottles and stress balls. Same thing with Danny Rosen, will not sell a stress ball. And I love that stance, because it's not just saying, I'm not going to do that. It's here's an alternative and here's why. It's explaining the reasoning behind it. And that's what makes you. What do we talk about? What is the theme of a podcast we've been doing for 7 years? Being a consultant, being that trusted advisor that actually is going to help you be better. And so I think when we focus on those things, that's how we really start being eco-friendly a little more consistently, and not just around the high holy day of 420. All right, Kirby. Hey, I've got some big news for you.
Okay.
I've got some huge news.
Bring it.
In fact, it's so big, I'm not sure I could even share it. Okay, fine, I will. Promo Pulse has just released a major update to their free award-winning app. That's right. Distributors now have access to the same gorgeous marketing content that users access via the popular AMP service. The app makes it super easy to share content on social or directly with your clients. When you include the search functionality, the app is a game changer for distributors. So update your app if you've got the Promo Pulse app. If you don't have the app, go to your local app store right around the corner, not far. You probably walk over there and download the app. You won't be sorry you did. Kirby, regale us with the topic of your choosing.
Okay. So I teased you about this before we started recording. So I like to share books that have impacted me. Actually, recently, you and I said we were both going through the traction methodology.
Traction.
So right after this is one of those cool things where the one book led into another. And I think it was Jason Noakes actually who told me about this. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martinelli. And it is just talks about the idea that organizations, one of the mistakes they make is they hire to grow. And he said, entrepreneurs shouldn't hire to grow their business. They should hire to buy back their time so that they can focus on high value activities. You want to offload the things that you don't enjoy doing and they don't bring you great value.
Yeah.
So, and again, concept makes sense. But one of the things I like about this book is he gave me like, okay, but here's sort of a methodology on how to do it. So the number one thing, and I want to get to your take on this, is he said that the first hire should be an administrative assistant of some sort. And the first task that you should offload is your calendar and your inbox.
Yep.
Okay. So calendar, sure. But the idea for years of giving up my inbox, that would be like cutting off my arm. I am maybe I'm addicted to it or whatever. But I found that like what he did, what it had been explained to me in the past, Bill, was that people would say, just you don't answer your own email. Somebody else. I'm like, that doesn't work for me. But this guy, he's like, okay, you have folders and essentially you're not the first person to touch it. So it's curated by somebody else. And then you are only replying to the things that only you can reply to. So I have started this.
Okay.
I started it last Thursday. And I haven't gone through my emails yet. You were asking me, hey, did you get my email? And I was like, not yet. And it is. And so Jade, my daughter, who's now my assistant, is managing my email for me. And I told her, I am going to be the biggest impediment to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I decided I was going to be traveling a lot over the next couple of weeks. I'm like, what a perfect time to try it.
Yeah.
So far. Now, again, I was traveling some, so I think it changes that a little bit.
Right.
So far, this has been so wonderful. I mean, it's like, I just have to make sure that I'm refilling my calendar with things that only I can do that add value. So my question to you about this topic is, do you think this is something you could do? And I will tell you, I couldn't do it 5 years ago, but today I'm in a little bit different space. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I could do it. I love the topic. And, it's something I've preached to my clients for years, kind of a variation of this. And we all get sucked into our inboxes. That is the information highway to our clients and vendors and things like that. And you've heard me say this on this podcast that I encourage people in high pressure, high performance roles to check your email 2 to 4 times a day, because usually you can plow through it fairly quickly. Every once in a while, yes, you're going to have an issue you've got to deal with, but think of it like the old days when you get on a plane, you'd fly for 3 hours, you'd land, and the second you landed, you would turn on your phone and you'd have 43 emails. And really, you could blow through most of them in 5 minutes. You delete them, you'd file them. It was somewhere FYI, and there's probably about 4 to 5 you need to deal with. And I don't think most clients have an expectation that you respond immediately. We teach them we're going to respond immediately.
Right.
So building off of that, I love this idea. To answer your question, I think I could. I do that a little bit now. But it's one of the things I think is a challenge for any entrepreneur, anybody who has started a business. That person's the most invested person in the business. You'll never find anyone more invested. I don't care if they're your spouse. I don't care if they're your kids. I don't care if they're your best friend from high school. They didn't bleed it as much as you did. They'll never care as much as you care. And so there always is that concern. Is there an email I'm missing that I need to be aware of. And so when I ask a simple question from, hey, did you get the promocations email that I sent out yesterday with a couple of instructions? I assume you were like, oh my gosh, okay, what if I don't see that? What if she didn't see that? Where is that email? I didn't see it. So I could see the anxiety when I asked you, and now it all makes sense. So I think it's one of those things. You're very fortunate that your daughter is your executive administrator, because you know her work habits and all
I
that.
couldn't have
And
done
I
it
think it'd
without
be
somebody else, it would have been tough.
right. I don't think it'd be as easy if it was someone you hired that you didn't know. You loved them in the interview. They knocked it out of the park. I think that would be a much more difficult thing to do. And that's where I struggle, is, pushing that off. I love the concept though, and I believe fervently in it. I think time is our biggest challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my biggest challenge right now all the time. So I love the concept.
Yeah,
Absolutely
well,
love the concept.
and I think the thing that he did that made it different than what I'd seen in the past is that he gave me the framework. So in other words, there's the first thing, I do folders anyway, so I put in client
Right.
folders, whatever, but exclamation
Right.
point, my name. And that is essentially where I go, because it's the emails only I can answer. Then there's a
Right.
need to respond. So in other words, she's going to respond, but
Yeah.
she hasn't yet. She has another folder that is needs review. So in other words, we're going to meet a couple times a day. She can run those by me. There's a folder on responded. So if I want to look at all the emails I got that she's already responded to. So in other words, and then there's newsletters, and I actually made an extra folder for products in case there was a specific product. And for whatever reason in my brain, I'm like, okay. But that being said, the first day, quick funny story. First day, I have the notifications on the numbers on my email. And all day I was watching those numbers go up. And I'm like, the first day, and I'm like, she's not.
When is she checking emails? When is she checking emails? When is she?
She's not. So at the end of the day, and I did good. Like it was making me crazy. But I went and I met with her. Well, it turns out she was doing all of it, but she had left sort of the junk. She had it divided to focused in her email box.
Right.
So she wasn't even paying attention to all the junk, but the junk is what I wanted her to get rid of. I just kept looking, but what's that number? And so of course, then one day, then she's like, oh, okay, I get it. Now that number's gone.
Now it won't be a problem.
And then I also turned off the notifications.
No, I think that's smart. And again, you have a more mature organization than I do, so you have a little more variables to do those things with. I aspire to do what you're doing. Not quite there yet, but I love it. Sounds like a great book. I might have to pick that up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome. All right, Kirby, I guess we're in an Earth Day theme, at least with me this week. So I wanted to talk about a cool packaging thing I thought I saw. I didn't think about it. I saw it. McDonald's released a limited edition table bag. Okay. So it was unveiled during Design Week in Milan, where 400,000 people descend on the city. It's very difficult to find a place to eat, even on the sidewalk. So restaurants are packed. And so they created a limited edition 100% recyclable takeout box that lets people recreate a decent dining experience. So once it's assembled, it's strong enough to take the weight of 2 complete meals, including drinks. And I'm going to use this image as the picture for the cover of the podcast this week. And I thought, man, this is really cool. McDonald's gets a lot of bad publicity for being terrible food, and that's fair. It's not the healthiest meal choice you're ever going to have, but it solves an issue while not impacting the environment, because it's made out of 100%. It's recyclable. It's really a cool thing, and I don't think we as an industry put that creative cap on enough and think about solutions like that. I mean, this is really cool. I mean, when you see it put together, it's very, very cool. Yes, you're still eating, the Spanish version of a McNuggets or whatever, but still, what a cool concept.
Oh, I think that is design thinking just totally in action. I am like, I hadn't seen this. This is the first I'm hearing of it, but it's brilliant. And I think that to your point, to drawing it back to the industry, it is a true issue where you're looking at it and going, okay, what is the issue we're trying to solve? and what are
Right.
every possible way we could come up with thinking, of solving it that will also allow us to serve our customers. And, like that's purebred. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
And this is why I think it's really important. And this is where I'll get on the Jeremy Picker bandwagon, who's
Okay.
from Amber Creative, a good friend of both of us.
Yeah.
I am fervently believe what he believes, which is this is why organizations of a certain size, of every size really, should have someone who is in the role of creative director. Their job is to look at all projects and make them as creative, as useful, as impactful, as vibrant as possible. Now, I serve as that here, right? I think you serve as that at Hasseman. But as your organization grows, having a creative director whose purpose really is to, okay, how do we make this better? How do we make this different? How do we make this piece of marketing gold pop?
Yeah.
How do we not impact the environment? How do we, all those things? Because our industry, when I try to explain our industry to people, it's this untapped, it's like the West in United States West in the 1800s, this untapped potential. And so many of us are still stuck on, we put logos on things.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And then when you see something like this, or there's so many other examples of it, and we all do it. I guarantee you could show me some really creative things. Yeah, it takes a little more time, takes a little more effort. But when you do it, it creates that, wow, holy crap, that's amazing. Other than, oh, wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. I want wow. I don't want nice.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I like it. That's
All
cool.
right. All right. You have another topic, or are we bagging it for the day?
No, let's do one quick one. Okay.
All right.
So I saw this stat. Okay. I thought this was interesting just for our conversation.
Okay.
The future of news might be hiding wherever you get your podcasts. 87% of Americans who hear news on podcasts expect it to be accurate, according to a new Pew Research survey. Given that confidence in newspapers, TVs, and has slipped, that's a pretty big win for podcasts.
That's a huge win.
Right. So I guess it's really just the question, is that how you feel? Because I'm not sure it's how I feel. Like, I love podcasts, but I don't know that I view it as a news source. What do you think?
Before I answer, this is probably, not the best time to share this, but I am the new drummer in Foo Fighters. So, I'd like to share that bit of news with everybody. Kind of a shocker. No, I'm kidding. Wow, I never would have guessed that. So at 85%, I believe
87%.
87%. Wow, because when I look at podcasts, or I think of podcasts, to me, that is the epitome of opinion-based yapping. Okay, it is
I'm
not.
sure that there are
hard
news
news.
podcasts. That's just not what I listen to.
There are. Excuse me. There are, but my thought is, to me, that's just, I don't buy it. I don't buy it, and I'll tell you why. You may look at the global you, not you, Kirby Hasseman, may look at Network X and say that leans way far left. And you may look at Network Y and they lean way far the other way. You do the same thing with podcasts. If you don't think that the podcaster is giving you a slant, now it could be a slight slant, it could be a major slant. I have no idea. There's always a slant to all of this. And we've talked about it before. News is no longer a public trust. It's something to be merchandised and sold and packaged and commercialized and. So I think you have to be careful where you get your news, but not sure it'd be Twitter. Damn sure it's not going to be podcasts.
Yeah, it is fascinating, but I think it speaks to our level of
uneasiness.
The bias that we have toward the things that we already believe to be true. Like, and confirmation bias. That's the word I was trying to come up with. Because again, if you're listening to a podcast, it's because you have chosen to.
Right.
So you've sought out whoever that is, so you believe them naturally. Right. That's the reason you've subscribed to the podcast, is you already have sort of a relationship and you believe them. So again, technically, when and I think you're usually the person that does it, but let's say, just like you read a couple headlines, right? Those were accurate. Those were true.
But then I
But I don't
interpreted
know
them.
that. What's that?
Then I interpreted them
Yeah. So
as I shared.
it just depends on what folks are looking for. But that surprise, I
Yeah.
guess you and I are on the same page as what it really lands on is 87% of people believe
Yeah.
that what they're hearing on podcasts. It both surprises me and doesn't.
Well, and you hit on something there. You know, we gravitate toward what we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Foo Fighters album right there. They're releasing a brand new album in about a month. First one without Taylor Hawkins as their drummer, I believe. I don't think he drummed on any of it. I love the Foo Fighters. I have not heard this new album. I am predetermined to like it because I like the Foo Fighters.
Yep.
The same follows through with whatever news you consume, the podcasts you listen to, the TV shows you watch. So, no, I love that's a great topic, Kirby. That's a great topic. You really explained why that matters. And speaking of whys, Kirby, our good pal Bruce Jolesch over at PXP Solutions wants to share a couple of his whys that you might want to work with him and his team. Innovative graphic design that will showcase your client's brand, special printing techniques that creatively communicates your client's message, turnkey service from concept to fulfillment, creating efficiencies and cost savings. It's great stuff there. And unparalleled customer service that's going to forge a long-lasting relationship. Look, we're all looking for the best partners with what we do. We're all moving way too fast, and we need good partners to help us not make mistakes. And you can't ask for a better one than PXP Solutions and Bruce Jolesch. He loves when people call him. He loves to answer his phone. He's old school like that, and I really like and appreciate that. He can call him at 214-380-1883. If you'd rather use your Google machine or your portable Google machine to email him directly, you can do so at bruce@pxpsolutions.com. You're not going to be sorry you did, Kirby, and I appreciate you using your portable Google machine to do exactly that. And until next week, ahoy, matey.